Hi, I'm Stephen Dando-Collins and I'm talking about my latest children's novel, Caesar the War Dog. I was inspired by the stories of three real dogs, but mostly by the story of an Australian army dog, an explosive detection dog called Sabi, who was a prisoner of the Taliban for 13 months in Afghanistan. But also I was inspired by the story of Endel, a British dog who faithfully served his master, who was a soldier confined to a wheelchair, and also the story of Cairo, the SEAL Team 6 dog that went in with the American naval personnel to get Osama bin Laden. There were several very dangerous missions that the real dog Sabi went on, and which Caesar goes on. And they involve some very nasty battles. And so I've included those battles in the book, particularly the battle in which Caesar is separated from Corporal Ben Fulton, his master, or handler as they're called in the army. What happened was that a combined Special Forces mission of Australian, American and Afghani troops were ambushed by 200 Taliban in the middle of the night. And there were two dogs on the mission, one American, one Australian, and Sabi was the Australian dog, and she was wounded and was separated from her master. So in Caesar the War Dog, same thing happens to Caesar. He is wounded and separated from his master in this very nasty battle, and it's exciting, but it also sends the pulse racing. And so there are, as I say, several battles, but in the early part of the book you read about the training that Caesar goes through to become an explosive detection dog, how they start training him with a tennis ball, and it's amazing how you'd think that a tennis ball would play a part in the training of an explosive detection dog. But dogs have the ability to smell explosives. Their ability is up to 100,000 times stronger to smell than ours, and this is why they make such good detection dogs. And so Sabi and Caesar, my dog, in Caesar the War Dog, learns how to detect explosives, and also in Caesar the War Dog he goes on to become a Special Forces dog, and he trains to jump with his master in a parachute from an aircraft flying at 5,000 or 10,000 feet. And this really happens. And the Special Forces dogs, like Caesar and like Cairo, the US Navy SEAL Team 6 dog, they are actually physically strapped on the front of their master for the jump. It doesn't have a separate parachute. And someone asked me, what do the dogs feel about this? And they love it, because you can imagine, you see a dog putting its head out the window of a car, it loves the rush of the air. Well, can you imagine jumping out of a plane and the rush of the air? And after Caesar has his first jump, you see him in the book jumping up to Ben, his master, saying, obviously saying, let's do it again, let's do it again. And so I go through all the areas of training that the real military dogs go through before they can go on their missions. I had to do a lot of research to find out. I haven't been to Afghanistan, so I had to do a lot of research to find out about the situation in Afghanistan, about the situation for the soldiers, but also for the local people. Because one of the characters in the book is a young boy called Haji, who initially takes Caesar in when he's separated from his master Ben Fulton after a battle. And I needed to find out how the children and their adults lived in Afghanistan, and Haji and his sister Mina are living in a compound, a khal as they're called, on their family's farm. But they live a very different life from what we know in the West. They don't have running water, they don't have electricity. And until recently, girls weren't allowed to go to school in Afghanistan. It's only since the Taliban were kicked out in Afghanistan that girls were allowed to go to school. So I had to do a lot of research on that sort of information, as well as the military information. And at the back of the book, Caesar the War Dog, you'll see a glossary of all the military terms that are used in the book, so you know what they mean. But I still had to do a lot of research about the actual social conditions in Afghanistan.